What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Church of Deb. We haven't done one of these Sunday sermon type things in a minute, but I thought it was good to, because we're in what's called cuffing season. And cuffing season is when dusty bums, I can't even try to mince my words, dusty bums try to find a place to roost for the winter, to get out of, because they used to sleep in their cars and parks and wherever they can catch a nap. So they need to be indoors because it's cold, it's rainy, it's going to be snowing in certain parts of the country. Ice, hail, and sleet. They need a warm bed and 3, squares a day. So they're going to be trying to cop all of that with you. We also need to discuss this. It's kind of a follow-up to the show we did a week or two ago. I don't remember. Where he talks about how women are on a trajectory to exceed men in education and, therefore in certain career opportunities. And this was especially prevalent for black men. And since the majority of the women who come to this channel, not all, but, still the majority, are African American and, still trying to deal with black men, it becomes an issue of what are you going to do when you are you're out educating them in leaps and bounds. You in a position to out earn them unless they, have their own successful business or, have some kind of trade or something. And you want a man that you can, be at a par with economically, or who makes more than you. That's where the hypergamy thing comes in, where women want to, align themselves because they're going to give up their youth, beauty, and body for children and all stuff for a man who's, going to, quote, take care of them and their children. So that becomes a part of that, becomes aligning yourself only with a man who makes more money than you do, right? But just think about it. If women keep on doing what they're doing and earning more than men and being more educated than men, that means there are going to be doors opening for women with these master's degrees and PhDs and MBAs and stuff that are closed to these men that don't have those. Some of them don't even have a bachelor's degree. These days, they want you to have a college degree to just work in a mailroom or be a receptionist or something. So it's not like, it's almost equivalent to a high school, to how a high school diploma used to be in my parents' days. Now it's, a BA or a BS. You got to have the basics to go anywhere. Now there's also, like we said, there's the option of, not everybody's meant to go to college. Some people will go and be very successful, career-wise by going to a trade school or getting some kind of tech certification or something like this. There's options, for people to still make a really good living in this economy that do not involve college. But it's still something that we have to think about, right? Oh, let me change my thing. Well, hey, everybody. I just flipped over to the chat stream to see who all is here. What's up? You can feel free to share a link since I didn't really do too much in the way of promotion for this show. First of all, let me just say this. Y'all, okay, my brothers was on me like white on rice. They're like, when you going to get your COVID shot? When you going to get your I had no intention to get the COVID shot. Okay, but then I'm like, okay, they want to have like, they want to do a family reunion next year in the Bahamas where my brother, the one that's an attorney, has a friend with a property. So, you'll be able to get on a plane. So that means either I'm going to have the COVID shot to get on the plane. So I went and got it the other day. I thought I was going to die. For the last 2 days, I have been dying. Okay, I don't know. I just couldn't. And they kept me there. After they gave me the shot, they said, we have to keep you at least 30 minutes. And so I was having such a reaction to it with an accelerated heart rate. I couldn't breathe. I felt like I was going to throw up. So they kept my ass there. They put me in this little room off to the side. And it seemed like every 2 minutes that nurse was in there taking my vitals and looking at me, looking in my eyes and checking to see what was going on. If they need to admit my ass behind a shot. I said, see, I knew I didn't want to get this bullshit. But anyway, that's my COVID story. I just had to tell somebody because my brothers wasn't trying to hear it. I didn't get the one where you need 2 shots. I got the one where you get 1. I'm not going back. That's what I told them. That's why I got all my wisdom teeth taken. All 4 of them suckers got yanked at the same time. They're like, we don't recommend that. It's going to be really hard on your body. I said, do you want your money? I told the doctor. He's like, what? I said, do you want your money? Because I'm not coming back. So you need to get your money now, take all 4 of them out, or I'm just, going to suffer. I'm not going to do that. Okay, so let's talk about, first of all, wait a minute. First of all, I found this article. It's a study. Let me find it in all my notes. Okay, here it is. This was some ratchet shit right here. Yeah, no, I got the Johnson & Johnson one, so I only have to go one time. But still, I didn't want to get none of them. And now I know why. I just was like, Beverly say I look pretty. You know why, Beverly? Because I've been in the bed. I've been sleeping. This is what you look like when you can't keep anything down and you sleep for 2 days. This is what happens. This is what you look like. It lets me know I do need to get more sleep, but whatever. Okay, now back to the topic. I found 2 study results that were ladies, just trifling. Okay, one was published in 2012 and the other one was in 2017. The 2012 one was done in the UK, and it says 55% of men, quote, would marry for money. So this is like they be ragging on y'all for being hypergamous, whereas 55, that's more than half, said that they would marry a woman for her money. Okay? This is terrible. Your neighbors have it, but I had it in January. So I'm like, I don't even understand why I had to get it if I have the antibodies. You know what I mean? But they make you, they don't care about that on a plane. To get on a plane or whatever, you got to show the shot. They don't give a shit about what you had last year and all this old stuff. Yeah, there are more single men than single women. Uneducated, we just did a video on that, but now they have that's what we just did the video on it, that exact topic, Diana. Okay, so let's talk about this article here. There's 55% of men would marry for money. Now this was the opening sentence. More than half of men are prepared to marry a woman for money, even if she is old, ugly, or dull. Experts say male gold diggers are a result of the economic crisis and high-earning career women, which, like I said, we just talked about. So this is what's coming down the pike, ladies. But women are becoming more careful, with 29% saying that they would consider asking potential husbands to sign a prenup. I'm going to say 100% of women need to sign a prenup. A total of 14% of women said that contracts, when defining how assets are split in divorce, were essential, but 24% thought they were unromantic. Who gives a shit about it's not romantic? You know it's not romantic? Having to pay some clown alimony. Like Wendy Williams and all of these other people. Anita Baker and them. It says, this woman's psychologist says, men are now marrying with their heads rather than their hearts. When did men ever marry with their hearts? They've always married for their heads. I haven't seen any evidence of that. There has been a sharp change in roles and expectations, she writes. Men may look for a wealthy partner who can offer financial insurance. Okay, but we've been knowing that, right? We talk about that, how they come and they try to live with the little baby mama that's got Section 8. See, this is the thing about it. They aren't all homosexuals, though, class size. A lot of these dudes have money, but you have more, okay? They have an education, but you have more. Or maybe you guys have an equal education, but you're in a better financial position. You already have property or something. Maybe somebody left you something. You got, I don't know, your great aunt left you her mansion and millions and all this old stuff. Whatever is the situation, by him aligning himself with you, he's going to come up. You being in his life is a come up. Now, for the low budget, little dusty dust mites, you having a Section 8 apartment and serving him hot dogs and SpaghettiOs versus him living in the park or in his car or couch surfing somewhere is a come up. See, you guys, this is all relative. You guys don't think of them all as being, a bum. And some of these guys, like I said, they have money of their own. They might have a business, but yours is more successful, right? They have a job as, I don't know, some VP or something, but you're a CEO. You have more money. Whatever it is, for him to be with you is a come up. So don't always think that the guy has to be like a homosexual or like, an ex-con bum or anything like that. That's not what we're talking about. I want you to broaden your horizons and think bigger, because whatever you got, he wants to get it into his pocket. He has a business, but he wants to expand his business. He don't have the credit or the resources to do it. But if he gets married to you, then he does. That's a come up. Come on, ladies. You got to think bigger. Think bigger. Stop thinking everybody just a little roach, because that's not always the case. A lot of them, but not always. So it catches a lot of women off guard. So look at like Oprah and what's his name, Stedman. Stedman's got, a lot of political clout and got his own money, a very successful business with Armstrong and all this kind of stuff. Armstrong Williams and him was business. I don't know if they still are, but they was business partners for a long time, very successful in the political arena and making all kinds of money. But he didn't have Oprah money. And so for him to marry Oprah, that would have been a come up. You understand what I'm saying here? He would be in the hypergamous man situation, but Oprah wasn't having it. She wasn't even living with dude. So he couldn't be trying to tap her for no palimony and all that kind of stuff. So y'all make that mistake too. Here in California, I'll never forget that shit, because that was Lee Marvin, the actor that was the precedent for that case. And he had been living with that woman for, I can't even remember how many years. And then he tried to leave her. She was like, oh, no, you don't. And you're not leaving me with nothing. And she sued his ass. And that is when the California courts set this precedent. I think it was in the 80s. I don't remember. Late 70s, early 80s, something. But anyway, it was like all over the news, all over the newspapers, everywhere. And she got millions from his ass, because she had his kids. She took care of his house. She did everything like a wife. And then he going to try to leave her and say, but we wasn't married. And the court said, oh, we know, but she performed all the duties of a wife, and so you're going to pay her like she was one. And they came up with what they called palimony in California. And that's what's messing up a whole bunch of women now, because y'all be living with these men. You let them move into your house, move into your mansion. You buy them a car, you give them a credit card, you buy them some clothes, you do all the stuff for them, and then you decide you don't want him anymore because he's a bum, and you want to level up, but it's too late. You can't do it now, and then you get tapped. And then the worst ones are the ones who marry the clowns, because you so stuck on being married. You just got to be married, and so then you have to pay half to some clown who don't want to work and don't want to contribute nothing. Please. It's not like they can have kids and, at least like continue the legacy of the family and take care of them and all that kind of stuff. They ain't doing shit. They sitting on their ass playing video games, and y'all paying them and taking care of them. I wish I would. Okay, now that was the UK study. Right, here's another one. This was done in the United States. And this one says more Americans, this is men and women, say that they would marry for money even if it doesn't buy love. A recent survey by the Connecticut firm, just like I said, this was in 2017. A recent survey by the Connecticut firm Prince and Associates showed that 2/3 of the 1,200 people polled nationwide would marry an average-looking person they liked if they had money. And by money, they meant in the ballpark of $1.5 million and more. Survey respondents had incomes of $30,000 to $60,000, the national median. Here in the Bay Area, a salary of $135,000, you still broke. Okay, I just want to put that on record. You're still broke. You still don't have no money. You can do a little bit more than you can with 60 grand. Hopefully, if you're making 60, you got a mate or some roommates or something, and they all making around the same money. Then together you making that 135, 140 grand. Y'all can live pretty decently, but you still broke. So it says most people get upset because it's politically incorrect. People want the money. It's not a big secret, but once again, I'm living on $30,000 a year. If I had $1 million, I don't have to do this nonsense job anymore. That actually can be appealing to a lot of people. Yeah, of course it is. But the survey respondents were savvy enough to know that money can't buy them love. A full 43% said they expected they'd end up divorced from their dreamed of money mate, Though gold digging has a long, storied history, today's divorce daters aren't doing it any more than in the past. The reality is many men and women who divorce expect to remarry in a year or two, but are surprised when 5 or even 10 years elapse without anything magical happening. The reason is that they've become highly selective about partners. I have not found that money is a primary criteria, although it is always a factor for women, this guy says. Well, like this video is pointing out, this was 2017. I don't know what the nationality is of the 1,200 people polled for this survey, but they generally tend to not ask black folks. Because every time they have a survey, I have never been in one and don't know anybody who has either. So I don't know who they be calling. He says, this one guy was interviewed, he says, he's a retirement planning expert. I don't think that we can attribute this to greed. I think you ought to also consider the statistics that show that women who divorce are thrown into financial difficulty as opposed to men who generally come out of it just fine, contrary to what the rantings and ravings are on the internet, where these dudes cry about their little chump change money. The experience of being practically destitute can be a powerful motivator to not do that again. And I am in full agreement with that. Okay, so women, my grandmother used to say, the first time you marry for love. The second time you marry for money. And if you get married the third time, it's just for companionship, because you already got your money and you already know married for love ain't worth it, so you don't be bothered. You marry for companionship. That's why you see a lot of people, they don't do nothing in the bedroom. They have separate bedrooms. But they go on trips together and they, do fun stuff together, and they laugh and talk together, and they have family over together, and they go to church together, and they do all this stuff. I mean, $1.5 million is not bad, but it's not rich. That's really nothing. That's nothing. You'd be surprised how fast you could go through $1.5 million. It's really not that much money. Okay, so let's talk about how you might know. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Glassy, today, in this economy, see, this was in 2017. We're in 2021 now. Okay, and I would imagine this also varies, depending upon what part of the country you live in. Say if you live in, the country part of Mississippi or Alabama or something, well, $1.5 million is going to seem like a fortune when you can rent an apartment for $350 a month. Okay, in California, your apartments are going, in this Bay Area right here, you're getting 1-bedroom apartments for $1,600, $1,700, $1,800 a month. That's like a good deal. Depending upon where you live, like if you're over in San Francisco, then you could be paying up, $2,500 a month. So you see what I mean? $150 million is not the same in a high area like this or New York City as it would be in Alabama, Des Moines, Iowa, Jackson, Mississippi, that kind of stuff. It's just not going to be the same. Your money's going to go a lot further in those places than $1.5 million out here in the San Francisco Bay Area. It's not going. That's why I was just laughing. It's like, that's not even no money. Can we multiply that by 10, and then that might be something like 10 million, 12 million? Now we talking. We can do something with that. Shit, the damn house could cost $2. There's a lot of people telling me you can buy a house in certain places in South Carolina still for $250,000 or less. I'm like, wow, when I retire, I'm moving. Because I'll be able to buy me like a mansion or some shit with acreage and all kind of stuff. Then I'm going to throw parties and invite all y'all. You're going to have to sleep in tents and whatnot, but everybody, we can all be there. It's going to be fabulous. Thank you, Alvis. Oh, you know what? Wait, I'm keep getting sidetracked. Let me stick to this. I'm talking about all kind of stuff. Okay, so what I want to talk about is how you can, you dating a dude, right? And you're not really sure that he's really with you because of who you are and, the love thing. You want to be loved. But, your friends are like, well, girl, he's not really showing you love or something. Are you sure he's just not with you for your money? And you're not really sure, right? You're not positive. So these are, you're going to sleep in tents. What, you want me to build some little cottages or something? Them little slave cabins? They have them in Houston. down there in the 4th Ward. They used to be slave cabins. Now they are valuable homes. It was just unbelievable. People was remodeling them and all kind of stuff. They're not too far from downtown. Okay, well, anyway, see how I keep getting distracted? Okay, let's talk about this. Signs that he is using you for your money, and he's not really interested in you. Okay, these are some of the things that they might do. This is a big one. Okay, you get with him, right? And at first, he's all generous. He's paying for stuff. And so you get used to that. But usually around the 5th date, after you slept with him and, you starting to catch feelings, that's about the timing, 5th or 6th date. Something happens and they, oh, I'm short. I don't have enough money. Can you spot me this and that? So then you figuring, well, he was so generous to me. He paid to take me out. I can pay for this thing here. And so you do, right? Which in itself is not necessarily a bad thing. But the part that bothers me is when they say, well, I don't have it, after he was being Mr. Generous Spender. Why do you suddenly not have it? That's how you know it's gang. Because a man who's got his ends meeting, they're going to still be meeting. He might have, I'll give it to you, let's go. I was going to pay cash. I forgot my cards, but I'll go home. I'll get my ATM card. I'll give you the money as soon as we leave here. Something like that. Or, let me cash app it to you or Venmo to you so that, then you can just put it on your card, but you already have the money in your account. Something like that. Okay, that's what that's the only way I'd want to do that. But that's not what happens. They just sit back and expect you to pay, right? Worse yet are the guys who you want to go out, right? And so they say, well, I don't have any money. And I've seen women do that. Oh, well, I'll pay for it because they want to go out, right? The guy's telling you I don't have the money. That means he ain't going to pay. And so what you do is you either going to put your card out there all big, or you're going to slide him the money on the under. So, or your card or whatever, but it's got your name all over. So it's not like you're fooling nobody. And so, but you give him the money so that he puts the money on the table so everybody in the restaurant or the bar sees him put the money on the table and they think that your man is handling his business and that he's paying when it's really you. But y'all do that. I've seen women do that. Because I'm nosy. I be looking at everything. And you can see them reach under the table or they go on the side trying to hide behind the wine bottle and the mustard and everything, the steak sauce, and try to put that money over there so dude can reach up and casually grab it and put the money down. I know those tricks. But that's like, the guy it's just a bum. Why would you do that? So that's what they do. They, will set you up by paying for stuff at first so that you feel at ease, like he's not really trying to use you and all that stuff. And then he starts hitting you up for stuff, to pay for this, to pay for that, to buy that. Well, I've always paid for you. Well, can you help me with this? I don't have as much money as I used to, blah, 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 blah. And this is what you're supposed to do. In the case of that happening, and this is somebody you just started dating, you're supposed to well, it doesn't sound like, you're really in position for us to date, so let's cut this off. Okay? That's what you do. But so many of you are just so invested. Even you've been going out with somebody for 3 or 4 or 5 times, and you already want to kind of make it work. No, you're not supposed to. You're supposed to dump him. He's a bum, okay? He's just trying to set you up, and you just goofy and go along with it. I don't want to say stupid, but a lot of you just are naive, and you just don't know game. When you see it, you don't recognize game. It's just really terrible. Yeah, they talk about they don't have no money. I'm like, I'll pay for mine and be like, I don't know what you're going to do, but you better call a friend, call Tyrone, somebody, your mama. I don't know who you're calling, but I'm not paying for you. I'm not going to we ain't playing that trick. So many women be like, oh, that's okay. I'll pay for it. Because he claimed he forgot his wallet or he don't have enough or his card got rejected or something like that. I'll tell them to split that check. It's so fast. They talk about we don't split checks here. I said, well, you're going to have to because all I'm legally responsible for is what I ate, what I consumed. That's the law. So whether you want to split it or not, that's what you're going to do. Either that or I'm going to walk out the door and not give you nothing. We can settle up in court. And they always split the check and then they give me mine and I pay it. Then I look at him. That happened to me twice. And then I got up and walked out. And that's just how that was. Once in San Francisco and once in Houston. I don't know what he did. I just left him sitting there. Luckily, I had met him there, got in my car, and drove the fuck off and did not care. Never saw him again. That was just We're not playing them. Deb, I don't know. And I was young then. I was still in college. And so, I already had the attitude that I have now. It's like, I don't know you dust mite. I'm out. I'm not paying for crap. Okay, so that's one. That is a very, very, very common setup game. Another one is that you basically, when he looks at you, they be asking you questions like where you work at, where you live at. They be looking at all the people and seeing what kind of car you drive on, what car you driving and all this kind of stuff. They be looking at how you dressing, what you wearing, all this kind of stuff. That's why it really bothers me when you see, so many people, they want to put their wealth on their back. You don't have to flash and show everybody. So the riftiest people that I ever met when I was growing up, they had millions before people even start talking about having millions. When they left their house, they just looked regular. Now, if you followed them home, you would see all their fancy cars, but they usually had like a plain car, like a Jeep, a Range Rover or something, a Volvo, some just it was nice, but it wasn't like flashy. And then they would have, their other cars there, but their house was always like phenomenal, like up in the hills and someplace with, maids and butlers and pools and fountains and all this grandiose stuff. But if you saw them out walking around, they might have on some Dockers. It used to be popular to wear Izod shirts, and little collared, cloth shirts, like a nice T-shirt. Something, it would be nice. The stuff would be nice, it would be quality, quality names, but plain. That was when, and I was just, like in high school and college, and I used to see that. And I was like, okay, so, but black folks do when they get a little change is want to throw it on their back and if you have everybody's name on their body, whereas this wasn't like the people that had real money didn't do that. If they had somebody's name on their back, they was getting paid for it for, promoting this brand. What we now call an influencer. They didn't used to call it that, but that word wasn't invented those days. And so, they would be getting a benefit from it. Y'all be wearing the shit for free. And you be paying them to wear their name on your back. It's just the craziest stuff. Yeah, you're right, hood rich. And I found out about that, one of my little cousins, and she was just 6, 7 years old. And we stopped. Her mother wanted to look at some Mercedes, and they just had like a basic job, and her husband was like a deputy sheriff or something. He wasn't balling like that. And so we pull in, and so the mother wants to look at these Mercedes, right? And I'm, always driving my Hondas or Maxima. And so I'm looking at them. I'm like, wow, this is kind of wild. And so the little girl says, yes, we're going to buy a Mercedes. I said, why would you want to get a Mercedes? I'm thinking y'all live in the house is cute, but it ain't nothing fancy. And it's like in the suburbs, and this was a cheap little house. And so I'm like, why do you need a Mercedes? And this little girl tells me, well, because if we have a Mercedes, when we drive around, we'll look rich. She told me that. 6 or 7 years old, and mine was already fucked up. So I was like, wow. So I told her mama when she got back in the car, I was like, let me tell you what your child said. And she was all embarrassed and stuff. I said, yeah, but that means she heard that from somebody. Were you saying that kind of stuff around her? That's terrible. You're teaching her very poor values. So, it's the kind of thing I think, black folks, we got to look more to the future and don't put all your money on your back. There's nothing going wrong. Why you got to have all these designer purses that cost all this money, designer shoes and stuff? Who you think you're impressing? Put that fucking money in the bank. Save it for your kids' education. Use it for something to build your legacy in your family, something important and meaningful. Stop spending your money on junk and buying little kids $75 shoes. They gonna outgrow them next month. Get them shoes from JCPenney's or somewhere. I'm like, I just don't understand it personally. So when the guy starts asking you all them questions and looking at what you're wearing and what you drive and all that kind of stuff, he's measuring you. He's looking to see what you have that he wants that he could use you for to get out of you, right? So here you go, I work as an attorney and I do this. And yes, sure enough, you shouldn't have to hide who you are, but that only applies if you're in a social circle where people are on a par with you. You just out at a club or something with your friends at a wedding, some kind of a networking event or something. You don't know who's in those places. It could be just some come up bums in there because they know it's going to be a whole bunch of business people. They can put on a nice suit. They saved their money and got them a nice suit. So they will mix and mingle and talk and flash business cards that they paid to get at, Speedy's printing shop and all this kind of stuff. And so it makes them look like they something that they're not, so that you feel, like you met him at a business networking event, he must be okay. Right? Unless you're nerdy, you meet him at a bar association meeting where you got to be a member of the bar to get in this event, then you don't need to tell them nothing. Okay? So those women be like, well, I don't feel like I should have to, hide who and what I am. You better, if you got any sense, you shut your mouth. You just say, I work, in corporate America. Something vague. You don't need to know exactly what you do, because then the next thing you know, well, what kind of attorney are you? All right, so then he starts doing his mental, adding machine about what your salary range is, especially if you dumb, and tell him what firm you work for. He knows it's a multinational firm with branches all over the world, and you a partner. Oh boy, he's like, cha-ching, he gonna be in love with you. Okay, but so many women just don't even have that kind of game. They don't even understand what these men are asking you. They don't need to know all them details about you. Not as soon as you meet them. Okay, so he's measuring to see if you got, if you could be a sugar mama. Basically, are you going to be somebody that he can use to come up? He's going to be measuring what you got. What you got. Okay, now the next thing. You meet a guy and, here you are. Now, you might be wealthy enough to have, these designer labels and all stuff. But here's somebody who's got a job at UPS. FedEx. I don't know. Whatever he's got. But he want to have like all these fans, like, I said, the hood rich little thing. He has expensive taste. He likes to wear Gucci belts on his little jeans and all this stuff, right? Everything he's got is like all expensive. And he likes to make sure everybody knows that expensive, because he can't wear no cheap stuff. So then he gets with you, and you see his presentation, right? His birthday. My birthday's coming up, he says. So y'all been kicking it for a few weeks, and you feel like you need to go out and buy him a birthday gift. Well, guess what? Every month he has a birthday, depending on what new woman he's dealing with. You never thought to check his driver's license to see if it's true. You just go on his word. He say it's his birthday. You go and spend $500 on a present. I give a nigga a card and a cupcake. Okay, happy birthday. Blow this shit out right here. That's what you get from me. I'm not spending no money on a man. I'm not going to do that. But that's what, that they have all these expensive tastes, and they got a beer budget. So my grandfather used to call it a champagne taste on a beer budget. So they stay in your wallet, with, getting gifts and needing a little help. This bill is due. Can you get me this? Can you get me that? Yeah, we're not going to do that. So it becomes interesting. So, a lot of women get set up this way because the guy will give them some very expensive gifts. Like I said, he pays for everything in the front. That was in the other example. But also they will give you some very, kind of costly, extravagant types of gifts that are out of place to the level of the relationship that you have. Where a lot of women get caught up in that is, okay, you have money. He knows you got money. So he goes all out to get you this expensive gift. Well, he's doing that so that he can ask you for something that's even more expensive. You've been set up and you can't say no. You feel like you can't say no because he got you stuff that was so nice and expensive. It required you to pay all that money. So see, you've been set up. That's why when you just meet a dude, you don't accept expensive gifts from him. He wants to give you a diamond necklace, diamond tennis bracelet or something. You say, oh, no, thank you. I already have a couple of those and I don't even wear them. Something to show him that you're not, going to be impressed with all of that. And say, that's plus it's inappropriate for the level of the relationship that we have. Thank you, though. Thank you for thinking of me. Okay, and let's talk about this one. Here they come, and they always got some money problems, right? And what's so sad about it, so many women have such, tender hearts and such levels of empathy and pity, especially if he says it's something about his kids, right? Something about his kids. Then you feel like, oh my God, His children are going to suffer because their father is in a tight spot right now. So here you come with your checkbook out and your superwoman cape flying in the wind, and you start writing checks to pay his, help him with his money problems. That's what you do. Some of these men will have, they have back child support. They have other bills like creditors calling after them, stuff getting repossessed, evictions, bank reclaiming property that they ain't paid notes, mortgages on. I don't know, all kinds of stuff, all kinds of drama, tax liens, all kind of stuff is happening. And you, since you have all this, what you consider to be disposable income, and you feel like that's your man now and stuff, you want to swoop in and start taking care of it and start paying stuff, getting your attorneys to negotiate deals for him, all kind of stuff. But all of those things are things that are helping him be better, save money, and come up using your resources, your time, your energy, and your dime. What are you getting out of that? Some D? That's it? Wow. Yeah, but caviar is kind of gross. He's like, I don't like that fishy taste. That fish egg taste. So anyway, so that's one thing. Now, yeah, the financial problems one. A lot of you sometimes will, because you want to help him out, right? You set up a bank account because y'all supposed to be saving money together for some future purpose, since you a couple now, right? And so you putting in your paycheck or your rental income is going into this account because y'all saving for a wedding, y'all saving to buy a house, all this kind of stuff. I don't understand the logic there. You're not married. Why do you need to save money in account with him? What is that all about? Why can't you, when he says that, why can't you just say, no, you save money in your account, and every month you show me the balance in your account, and then I will put that amount in my account. That's what we're going to do, so that we all have the same amount contributing to this joint fund, right? So then if you see he come back with his account and it shows $102, well, then you put $102 into the account you set up under your name, and y'all keep it moving. So he comes back the next month and it shows $157. Well, he only put in $37 more. So then you put in $37 in your account. See, you don't let your whole check and all, thousands of dollars of your money go into an account that he has access to, and he hasn't contributed that equal amount of funds to it. I don't understand what y'all be thinking. I just don't understand this at all. And buying houses with them, that's the ultimate. We see that all the time, right? These young women just go, we're going to buy a house. Why are you going to do that? What's wrong with you? Why do you think that's something you need to do unless you do it inside of an LLC? Your LLC or your trust is going to buy this property with this individual that's in their LLC. It's a business arrangement, and it should be all the T's dotted and the I's crossed by attorneys. Okay? Not just because you, quote, love him. That's just stupid. That's how they get y'all, though, because you go with your feelings instead of with your brain. And so you get set up. Yes, perfect now, because this is the Church of Deb. I did have a sound file, but it's in my other software. I forgot to transfer it over of some organ music and stuff. And I really want to clown. It's too funny. Okay. Now, let's talk about the guys that always ask you for money. I mean, they don't even be playing. They always hitting you up. Okay, it may start with something little like $5, $10. But you notice every time you turn around, this clown is in your pocket. $20. Sometimes some of them take money out your purse. We've had some advice column, letters that come into What the Fuck Tuesday, where the guys was taking the girls' ATM cards because they were stupid enough to tell them what the PIN code was. And the guy was just going taking out $300-$400 whenever he wanted to. Because, I needed it. And so they just feel like your money is their money. Right? So, and if they're not just straight out taking out your purse, some of them will take your items and sell them or pawn them. Some of them will drive your cars and total them. Some, or take your car or other possessions without you asking. I mean, without asking for your permission. They just feel so entitled to what you have. And you ladies don't check them. You don't do anything about it. You fuss and write a letter to me. But you should have been like, if you take your car and you didn't tell them to, your call should be to 911. Not to me. You should be writing me a letter. You should have done something about that, him stealing your car, because that's what that is. You don't give somebody permission to take your property, his name's not on it, and you did not give him permission to drive it. That's a stolen vehicle, okay? But a lot of women, they don't think like that. They're like, oh, but that's my man. That's my honey. I tell you, I went smooth off on I'm married. He got his own car, and I went outside to get in my car, and my car was not there. I called his mother because I knew that's where he went. I said, you tell your son to bring my goddamn car back right now. Well, y'all, but your car, you just take the other car. And I'm like, I don't want to drive his raggedy, stinky car. Plus, the car seat was in my car. You know what I mean? So how am I going to drive down the street with the baby just rolling around in the back seat? I lost my mind, and I guess he never did that again. It's like, that's my car. Okay, I picked it. I saved up the money for it. I paid the down payment for it, and I make the notes on it from the job that I have. You don't have nothing to do with my car except to make sure it has gas in it and that it's clean and the tires have air in them. That's your only involvement. You drive. He has that and a motorcycle. So you got two vehicles, and you trying to take mine and leave me stranded here, nigga. Guess what? That's gonna happen if you do that again. And I'll pop all four. I don't know. Then 6 of his tires will be on flats. I bet you won't have nothing to ride except for my car. And you ain't getting it because I'm going to change the lock. Oh, my God, I was just so pissed. But anyways, those are the kind of things that I'm talking about. They want to use your resources. And like I said, we were married, so it wasn't really, it was supposed to be community property, but I still considered that to be my car for me and the baby. And we went in any place we went as a family, we went in my car because the car seat was installed in the back. It's like, how painful it is taking them things in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. So we just took my car because it was easier. And he's going to be disappearing in my car. It's like, you done lost your mind. All right, so let's do, so that they ask you money. They ask you for money all the time. Buy them some cigarettes. Pick me up something at the store. Well, you pay. You buy me this. Buy me. So, you might not even really be conscious of what's going on. But if you really stopped and thought about it, you buying the groceries, all this kind of stuff, then it becomes an issue. That happened with one of my boyfriends. I had call myself moving in with him. And we did this thing where we was going to buy groceries. I said, let's go to the store together and just, pay half and pay half. But he was like, no, you just buy this week and I buy that week. Okay, I was young and stupid and I fell for it. So the first week I go, so we had just moved in together, right? So we needed, like basic stuff like salt and pepper and, I don't know, flour and sugar, the stuff that you need to really cook, eggs and, all this stuff, baking soda, because I like to cook. So I spent like $200 on stuff, okay? So then, of course, the next week, there really wasn't that much to buy, which, was fine. So he buys some stuff, okay? Well, then the next week, it's my turn again. I'm feeling like, okay, we still got stuff, we don't need to buy too much anything. So I got like some milk or something. And then his week, and then he walked in there with a package of fish or shrimp or something, a baguette, and a bottle of wine. And I'm like, where's the groceries? And he's like, oh, this is all I bought. I said, okay. That was the last time I bought anything in that house. After that, I went on strike. I didn't cook nothing, and I went out to eat. Because in Houston, they had like all the bars and stuff. That's when I still ate like junk food. You go to the bars and you could get like, they had spreads. And I'm not talking about these little hors d'oeuvres. I'm talking about buffets where you had like taco nights and enchiladas and, mini burritos and chimichangas and all kinds of shrimps and, because seafood was so cheap down there. Shrimp and crab legs and all this stuff, Gulf shrimps and stuff. And you might pay, I don't know, say $3 or $4, but you get access to all of this stuff as much as you can eat. And then the drinks were like $1. So for say $8, $6, $7, I would come home fucked up and full off of some really good food. So I just kept doing that, right? I was spending $5, $6. And some of the places you could go for women, they would let you drink free. Right? Your drinks were free, or you get a 2-for-1 kind of thing. And it was only like $2 or something. It's a miracle I didn't turn into an alcoholic. But by the time he felt he was hungry. He's like, well, when you going to cook? I'm like, let me think about it. Never. I'm not doing that. So that's how I broke him of that habit. I don't know what he thought. I don't know who he thought he was dealing with. I was like, dude, did you forget I'm from California? I'm not no Texas girl. I don't give a fuck if you hungry. You could be so hungry, people could hear your stomach growling all the way to Conroe. I don't care. I'm not going to be worried about what you eat. I'm worried about what I eat. And he learned real quick not to mess with me like that. So after that, we went back to, well, let's just go together, and then I'll just pay half or whatever we buy. I was like, that's what I told you in the first place. Clown. Yeah, that nigga was hungry. Not hungry. Hung with an O. Hungry. Because he liked my cooking, but I'm like, no, I'm not cooking you nothing. You have lost that privilege, sir. You have lost it trying to game on somebody. And he knew he was fine, too. This is the dude I used to date who was a model. So, he always had women and, people, men, women, everybody used to tell him how good looking he was and stuff. So I guess he thought that, I felt that. I mean, he was cute, but it wasn't like I was going to fall all over myself to be, to be with him or nothing. I don't give a fuck because I'm cute, too, nigga. Did you forget? And just think, okay, I'm not ugly now, but just imagine this, 30 years ago. Shit. Yeah, clown. All right, so let's talk about this. Okay, so now, or you got a dusty bum. Okay, some of the women talked about that. Here you are, some high-level person, making all this money. You got your own house. You got all this stuff going on, and you somehow align yourself with a very cute but dusty bum. You are of that mind that you need to, give a brother a chance, right? You want to give him a chance. You feel like, well, I'm the EEOC, and so everyone should have an equal opportunity to get love, because ugly and stupid and broke people need love too. See, in my world, I don't care about any of those things. If you're ugly, broke, and stupid, well, you cease to exist to me. You're just like in that movie where he said, I see dead people. I don't see you because you're like a dead person, but I don't see dead people. So, but some women really, like that, and they have this nurturing side. We talked about nurses have this real bad. So they want to take care of everybody. They want to fix people. They want to bring you back to wholeness. And it's that mentality, which is great in a hospital setting. That's not good in dating and relationships. You don't have that, I'm going to make you whole and bring you back to life and sustain you and provide you with nurturing and support and encouragement and good health and all the stuff about people that you meet socially that, like, you're trying to date and stuff. That's a real problem for a lot of women. So these opportunistic types of dudes will see that, right, and they take full advantage of it because they know you want to have a project, you want to have something, you want to feel like you're saving somebody. So they put themselves in a position to be saved. So you bring them into your house and you feed them, you give them money, you let them drive your car, you buy them clothes, you give them credit, you do all kinds of stuff, and you don't even make demands on them. You don't make them pay any bills or anything. You're like, oh well, I was already paying everything before you came. So, why don't you just relax and, think about what you want to do with your future and, go back to school or whatever you're going to do. So you don't really make any demands on them like a man. You treat them like one of your kids. I don't understand that. And then you want to sleep with them. See, that doesn't compute. How? Because you got somebody you're treating like a kid, but then you're doing adult activities with them. How do you work that out in your mind? I don't get that. I can't do that. If you're going to be a kid, I'm going to treat you like one. Are you going to be an adult male handling his business that I respect and look up to and admire as a man, and then I'll sleep with you? But, no, that just doesn't work. And I don't understand how you ladies do it. Oh, yes, you can do that. I'm sorry. Hold on a second. I do want to invite you guys to call in. Hold on a second. How do I do this? Oh, here we go. Yeah, because otherwise this is going to be me running my mouth talking all the whole time by myself, huh? There you go. Yes, if you want to share your dusty story, your story of how you ran into a male gold digger gigolo type, because that's what they do. They all be pretty good and bad. You know why? Because that's how they live. That's how they sustain themselves. That's how they make their money. That's how they get over. They have women, climbing the walls, and then she's like, do I want to give that up just because he don't have a job? Because I make enough money. And dude, this is just fantabulous. I just ain't never seen no shit like this. And so she let him move in, and she just all sprung and stuff. I'm telling you, let's just be real with it. They call it digmatized, and y'all be digmatized. Okay, here we go again. If you want to talk on the show, just click that link. You got to have a headset though, or somewhere. Be somewhere quiet. Don't be having a whole bunch of background noise that messes up my recording. I'm gonna turn your mic off if you do. People be having cars, engine noises, and screaming, kids and dogs barking and stuff. I don't want that on my recording. So make sure you're in a quiet place before you call in. Well, yeah, nearly they do settle, but you know, some of them feel like okay, so she said, "What I went." Okay, hold on a second. Let me show this comment because this is too good. So imagine paying for a date and he didn't have any money to put in. He brought up the whole concession stand. $300 down the drain. Wait a minute. So he ordered and then he hit you to tell. Then he told you he didn't have no money. Oh no, you get one corn dog, nigga. That's it. $250. That's it. That's all you get to spend. My God. Well, girl, good thing you had $300 on you, because I would have been like, I don't have no money. I don't know what we going to do. Anthony says there's no such thing as a hypergamous man. Look up the meaning of the word. Women never date down. If they date dusties, they must be muddy already. You stupid. Let me get you out of here. Because you know what? Let me put you in a timeout. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. This whole show is about men who do just that. Now, because, you know, if you don't date men, then of course you haven't personally experienced it. And you're a typical narcissist who thinks, well, since I haven't seen it and it hasn't happened to me, that means it never happens to anyone. That's the narcissistic code. Okay, and then you got like 500 women telling you, sharing their stories about how this happened to them. But in your mind, there's no such thing. You're a dumbass motherfucker. Let me just tell you about yourself. Okay? All these women, even look at what happened to Mary J. and all these kind of people. Those are hypergamous men, you idiot. Got the intellect of a damn roach. Don't know nothing. Look at the definition of the word. If you looked it up, you retard, then you would know. Notice I put that French accent on it. Not retard. Retard. Like Target. Anyway, let me get back to my show. Sherry Shepherd, Anita Baker. I mean, just a bunch of them. Wendy Williams just got hit up. You know, Jill, what's her name? Jill Scott. I mean, it just keeps happening over and over and over. Especially, you know, we know about the black women it's happening to. So I don't know what people are talking about. Let me see. What does it say? Imagine coming back home from your honeymoon, not being able to get a ride from the airport back home and trying to coerce your friends. Wow. That's really a bum. Yeah, I was going to say Jim Scott. It's just terrible. So, you know, I don't know what he's talking about. He just want to argue and be stupid. Okay, now the last, so yeah, these are total deadbeat. These are the guys, like, this happened to a friend of mine, right? Her parents bought them a house, and she got married. And the second he was working, I think she had some position at the post office, like some kind of regional manager or something. I mean, she was making bank. And then she married this dude, and her parents never really liked the dude. And what her father did was they got him a house all right, but see, dude was under the impression that, you know, the house was for them. What really happened was the parents kept the house in their name, but dude didn't know that. So as soon as they got married, he quit his job, right? And so she's, you know, going to work every day, and he's claiming he's looking for a job. That job was so stressful, he just couldn't do it anymore. And he's sitting there drinking with his friends and you know, just playing cards, watching TV, chilling, just having a good old time, right? And so something happened anyway, and her father found out about it. And her father's like, dude, you know, you need to get a job and help, you know, take responsibility for your household. And so he was like, well, no, you know, she makes enough money. Why should I have to work? So not him, like I said, him not knowing that the parents owned the house, they evicted his ass. And so that was the end of that. So then she got a divorce. But this is a perfect example of someone who is a complete and total bum, you know, what we call a dusty. And so they don't want to work, or they're underemployed intentionally, or they only work part-time intentionally because they're not trying to have a full-time job and be like, you know, really holding it down, a responsible man and contributing to the household and all that kind of stuff. They don't be trying to do that. They want to have free time, and they don't feel like they should have to be, you know. Well, the difference between B. Smith is that he worked with her for 28 years, something like that. So that's not quite the same. They built, she had a good start, but they built the business up to be what it was together. So just like if a wife were building up the business together, yeah, it was in her name, but he was busting his ass doing stuff too. You got to read the whole story. A lot of black women got stuck on the fact that, he was taking care of her and had brought that white woman in. B. Smith was like out of her mind, okay? She don't know who was there. She didn't even know who she was half the time. So y'all was more bothered by the fact that he brought the white girl up in there than she was, but they split up now. And so, he didn't marry her or anything. It's fine. But, he was an old dude and he had been going without some woman having somebody to talk to and screw and go places with and do stuff with for many, 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 many years as B. Smith deteriorated. I don't understand why black women were so upset about that. Shit, your ass wouldn't want to be sitting around there looking at somebody all fucked up for 20 years and they couldn't even talk to you and you're not going to get no dick. Let's be real here, okay? Let's be real. So all this judgmental bullshit is just ridiculous. He helped build that business to what it was today, when she started taking sick. So whatever he got out of it, he deserved to have it. And that's just the way the law works. Okay, community property. Wasn't just hers. Not at that point. Like I said, she laid the foundation, but she didn't build it by herself. Okay, so now let's go on to the next one. You have a feeling, you have the suspicious feeling, you notice all the stuff that we just went over is going on in your relationship plus more. He balks at paying for stuff. These guys, I don't know, they just are real cheap, and they're not only cheap financially, they're cheap emotionally. And but everything to them, like, I don't know, some women don't seem to notice that the guys seem very, everything is practiced. It's like he's kind of robotic in his responses to stuff. He says all the right things. He does all the right things. But when somebody's heart is really into something, it's different. The way they touch you is different. The way they talk to you is different. The attention they showed you is different. I think so many women have had such dysfunctional upbringings as children, they don't even recognize when somebody is really seriously into them. Yeah, stingy and selfish. You're right. And it's like the emotions and the money goes together. That's what I see. Now, this guy wrote this piece, and I want to see what you guys think about this. So he says, hold on a second. Oh, her brother, his wife's brother, his brother-in-law, married this woman who, according to them, is very rich, who had at the time estimated $30 million to her name. And he says, according to my wife, ever since her brother was a teenager, he had wanted to marry into money. So he made that his goal. He planned from his teens to be hypergamous. So, he says, well, Deb, before you start thinking that he's, like, your typical gigolo type of person, he's not. Dude is a professor at a regional college. He's like an intellectual, with a PhD and stuff. He has had several books that are published in his field, one being endorsed by a high-profile figure in his discipline. He collaborates with others across disciplines and has been very innovative. So he's, become recognized in his field as an innovator and a go-to type of person. And he says, I sat down and talked with him for hours, and not only was he knowledgeable about many subjects, I was able to see the big picture implications of certain ideas and offer his own unique perspectives. I spoke with him about some of my views on economics and politics, and he was able to not only expand upon some ideas I presented to him, but show me how I was flawed about certain things and suggested alternative possibilities. We really connected since we have so many intellectual interests in common. Okay, so what you have here is someone who made a decision that he was going to, I don't know. Why do you keep talking about B. Smith? Okay, that's not the topic of this thing. I've already addressed that. I researched it very well. She was out of her fucking mind, okay? So she didn't even recognize who she was. Why you think that she felt disrespected? She didn't. Get over it. The woman been dead, and there the shit is over years ago. And y'all still talking about that shit. Let it go, okay? Let it go. Nothing about B. Smith has anything to do with you, nor with this show. So just let it go. If I see anything else about B. Smith, I'm going to block you. Let me just be clear. Talk about what we talking about, not some bitch that's dead, okay? Now, if that violates your sensibilities, then you can log off. Because I just hate to see people that can't hold on to some bullshit that don't even return to them and pertain to them and just want to let shit go after years and years and years. You're still talking about it. Let it go, okay? Move the fuck on. It's fucking ridiculous. Okay, now. Yes, love lady, that's how I do stuff here. I don't like it, and I don't have no problem telling people I don't fucking like it. And anybody who don't like that I don't like it is welcome to not bring their happy ass back to my show. That's how I feel. That's just the way it is. I just can't stand it. Yeah, just let it go. Shit. Okay, so he's talking about this brother-in-law, right? So he says this guy, his wife told him that he has helped his wife tremendously with some of her personal problems with family, and his wife was really ill. He was always there for her. He stayed, he took care of her. He did what he's supposed to do as a husband. When discussing political and social issues, he's thoughtful. He looks at how everybody is impacted by this situation. And to get to where he got, he had to overcome some real difficult learning disabilities. The wife said her brother had some severe learning disabilities as a kid, but he really, focused on getting over it. He says, I heard him speak at a conference on overcoming these problems. And when a teenage boy asked him a question that really hit home for him, he stayed an extra 21 minutes to talk to the boy one-on-one to make him feel better about some of his difficulties and to give him hope. So, he sounds like a good guy, right? I mean, he's the kind of guy that, a lot of women would want to be with. He's loyal, supportive, smart. He makes his own money. He's famous in his field. He's a go-to person. He's well-respected. He's admired socially, intellectually, and, professionally. Okay, so what if you were a woman and you had a lot of money, would this bother you to let a man come into your life who didn't have as much money as you did, but he had all of these types of things to offer? What would you do? This is interesting. I'm really interested in seeing what you guys would have to say. So if you want to call in, there's I don't know, what is it? Anyway, get on the show. That's the little link right there. This is interesting because we always consider this when we talk about these kind of men as being bums. They're dusties. This guy is not dusty in any way, shape, or form. From no perspective is this a dusty man. Okay, but the woman has millions and he doesn't. If that was you, what would you do? Yeah, but Oprah has billions though. She's she's way outside of this league. It's like one of the wealthiest women in the planet. Yeah, this is kind of, this was kind of weird. I had to sit there and think about this because this is the kind of man that women want. If you had this opportunity to be with this kind of man that you want, would it be a problem? Would you not want to marry him just because you got $30 million and he doesn't? Something to think about. So, yeah, let me put that down there. That's something to consider because, like I said, not every guy who gets with a woman who has money is a bum. Yeah, I can understand why she didn't marry Stedman, too. That would be a just no. Okay. Another thing that these guys do, and this is a real warning. Okay, every time he asks you for help, you're right there. And it might not necessarily be money, but it could be, with time. It could be, I don't know, to watch his kids, to pick him up from the airport or drop him off for his business trip. Whatever it is, there's resources that you're investing, your time, your money, your energy. Sometimes it is money, co-signing for loans, your credit, this kind of stuff. But every time you ask him for help for you, he can't do it. He's not there. It's not available. He don't want to. Find somebody else. Something like that. So it's kind of real interesting. Yeah, that's right. She married a teacher. Yeah, we don't know what kind of what you call it, prenup or whatever that they may have had. Because don't they have kids? But the bottom line is, he, by having a regular 9-to-5 job, is going to be able to provide her with the kind of companionship that she never got with Bezos, because he was always all over the world and traveling and working late and doing all this kind of stuff. If she had that kind of real go-getter type of husband, and now she wants just a regular husband who's going to, sleep in the bed with her every night and get up at the same time every morning and go to the gym and mow the lawn and, just be there with her, that might be what that's what she needs. So for her, if they get a divorce or whatever, she got to give him $10 million or $20 million. She doesn't care. The woman's got how many hundreds of millions of dollars? She probably made that money that she would have to give him in a divorce, just in the interest that she here. She's not tripping. It's a lot to us because of our economic status, but for people that's got that kind of money, that's just interest. You know what I mean? It's not a big deal. It's not, her principle hasn't been touched. So that's the way I think that she looks at it. But I think she's getting what she needs in that relationship. Just like the lady, with the $30 million that married the professor guy. So, yeah, there's that helpful thing. They always want you to help them do something, but they never can step up for you. I don't like that. You have the kind of guys that, if you have a hard time saying no, you are their favorite type of woman. A woman with no boundaries and who's got a lot of money. Oh, you can forget it. You may as well just open up your bank vault and just start flying the money out, because he just knows you just what they call a soft touch. All he's got to do is come to you with a sob story, or do something that violates anybody else's boundaries, and you won't even say anything. You might not like it. You'll be crying about it online or something, or sending Miss Heartbeat an advice letter, but you won't actually do anything. And that's what he's counting on. It's just terrible. And if you do have boundaries, they're going to keep pushing at them. Well, why not? Why not? Don't you love me? Don't you love me? Well, I just never heard of a woman not supporting her man like this. I just don't understand why you want to treat me like this. You just don't love me. You don't respect me. So they try to guilt trip you and, manipulate you into giving them what they want. Whereas, if you have a good boundaries, whereas, and some women will give in. They'll be like, oh, okay, then. All right. So just stop asking me. Whereas if you have people who just are like a little asshole like me, then I say, if you ask me again, we're breaking up. Because I already told you no. I told you no. And no means no. What you needed me to do, sign language? Say it in Korean, Japanese, Hungarian, Polish, what? What you need so that you understand what no is. Because, I went online and I learned how to say no in a whole bunch of languages. It's pretty fun, too. Because, you play the little sound file and they pronounce it for you. So then you can say it, nit, nada. Whatever. You learn how to say it. So I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool. So now no matter where I go in the world, I can cuss somebody out and tell them hell no. And you can say the no in their language, but you put hell in English. It's like, yeah, this is all right. Okay. Yeah, they've been pushing the boundaries thing. I hate that, where they try to make demands and say, oh, I don't know. She'll probably be back. Oh, there she is. She's Shay the Light now. She changed her name. She's not Lady Boss anymore. What do? You have a man who has entitlement issues, right? And he will take or use your stuff and then say, well, I didn't think you'd mind. Knowing full well that you'd mind, that's why he didn't ask you, right? I didn't think you'd mind. Some of them are something as simple as this lady was writing about how her husband, boyfriend, whoever he is, would eat her food. Right? She's cooking and she put the food in the refrigerator. He would eat his dinner, so she's going to do something to come back to eat hers, and she come back and he done ate her food. Or she would be in the process of eating it and he would come out and want some. And she's like, this food in the refrigerator, get yours. And this one I was reading, this lady was saying how, he leaned forward and spit in her food because she wouldn't give him some of it. He could have went right to the refrigerator and got the same thing, put it on the plate, microwaved it. But he wanted her to give him give him hers for some reason. Yeah, he was just a trip. But see, to me, that would have been grounds for immediate, breakup. You gonna spit in my food because you didn't get what you want? See, that sense of entitlement and this, well, I didn't think you'd mind kind of thing. To come out and ask, you've already had your dinner. You had a full plate. I'm getting ready to have mine, and now you want to fuck up my dinner? What if there were no other leftovers? She just would have had to go hungry. So see, to me, that would have said, you don't care anything about me. I'm just here as a convenience. I'm out. Deuces. Then what about if you do this kind of thing here where it's your money, right? Your money. You get the one with the most money. And y'all ain't married. But even if you are, it's still you got the most money. Money you had before you ever saw his face. So you go and you buy something that you want with your money. And you come home and then he starts going off on you about how you didn't ask him. You didn't get his permission, his cooperation, his buy-in. What are you doing? You're not supposed to do that. That's your money. But he, trying to command you around about your money. That's something else that they do, when they want to get with you. And he want to make sure that all your resources are used on what he wants to use your resources on. You are not allowed to use your resources on what you want to use your resources on. They get mad if you give money to your brothers or sisters. They get upset if you give money to your mom and dad. They get upset. Just whatever you do that you didn't discuss with him first and give him, get his permission to do or his cooperation, his agreement with your money, then he gets mad. And won't talk to you, want to slam out the door, have a big fight or something. It's like you do what you want to do, because you want to, and you get punished for it. That's what happens. And if you have any kind of feeling that you might be getting used, sometimes other people, like your friends or family, will see it, and you don't really want to accept it. If people start saying that kind of stuff to you or intimating that, you might want to step back and really listen to what they're saying, especially if you're a woman with a lot of resources. It could be a problem that you just so in a love fog or a sex fog that you don't really recognize what's going on. You just don't undersee it. You think that it's love, but really you just in what I call a relationship of a convenience. He's just there for what he can get out of you. It's just terrible. I thought you guys wanted to call in. What happened? Somebody wanted to call in and ask for the log of the thing. There it is right there. There it is in the chat stream. If you want to make a comment on this topic, that's it right there. There it is right there. Here we go. Then I found this article. This was written by one of the manosphere people. Let me talk about, let me get Angelica on here.
Hello, guys.
What's up?
Hi, Deb.
Oh, you know what, Angelica? Well, you go ahead and talk. I can't hear you because I forgot my headphones in the other room. Shit.
I don't know if the rest of the chat, but I just have a short story.
You just talk. I'll be right back.
Okay. Short story for the chat. My aunt has married a man that Deb is speaking about in this broadcast. And 2 months after they got married, or it was something like 2 months, he quit his job. He quit everything. And he said it was for mental health issues. So she's pretty much paying for everything, and they're still married. So that was my only story. So I don't know where Deb is or where she went, but yeah. It's really sad out here. So protect your money, protect your neck. Don't do anything just to stay married to somebody, because it's, to me, a crazy miracle that she's still married. And they've been married now for um I think about 10 years now. So this has been going on for almost a decade, and he's still not working. So he gets like little jobs here and there. I think he had like a gig for a little while, but he lost his job. So he probably wasn't lying. I think he is mentally ill. So there we go. I'll catch y'all later.
Okay, thanks, Angelica.
You're welcome.
Wow. Anyone else want to share a story of dustiness? I'm all ears. Let me put the put the log on back in there again. Cause I know y'all got stories. Come on now. I know you got stories. Well, let me finish with this manosphere thing this dude was talking about. Okay. He says, hypergamy is loosely defined as a woman's instinct to consolidate on the highest value males available at any given time. To consolidate, I don't know if that's a correct term. A man's value in any combination of looks, fitness level, financial means, and status in terms of popularity and or celebrity. Every male on the dating market has varying degrees of each of the three main components that determine his overall value. No, they know. Some of them don't have any of those things, sir. You're confused. Okay, let's get this young lady here. What's your comment, Miss Empress? Oh, oops. Okay, there. Wait. You have to unmute yourself. There
Can
you
you
go.
hear me now, Deb?
Yeah, you were still muted.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So I appreciate you for bringing awareness to this topic. I have encountered certain things dating, and I like how you mentioned that there are dusties on different levels, because a lot of people don't like to talk about, the guy who may be a little educated, but he's still dusty. The guy
Mm-hmm.
who has a little money and status, but he's still dusty. And in my dating experience, I have ran into them all. And that's why I feel like a lot of us as women, we need to vet all men accordingly and take our time, like not be so in a rush to prove that we're worthy or that we should have marriage, that we settle for any and everything. Because I feel like as women, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to be married, to have children. And then once you get into certain situations, you find out that it's really not all that you think it is.
Right.
And it's even worse when you end up with a dusty, when you end up with a man who does not take care of his business or is willing to or capable, even just like Angelica mentioned, the guy with the mental health issues. I feel like there's a lot of mental health issues going on in these streets.
There
It's
are
a
a lot
lot.
of people that totally undiagnosed. They don't even
Yes,
want to go
yes,
to see someone to get a diagnosis and get on the proper treatment plan.
yes. And it's almost like once you start recognizing your patterns, it's okay, ladies, too, to take time to yourself to get to know you, get to know what you need, slow down. So then you're not constantly rushing out in certain situations and finding yourselves tied to the wrong person. And I feel like that's the problem too. A lot of women don't want to wait or take time to see a lot of these guys through a season, because then you can get all involved in the hype of a person, but they can't keep up that hype for long periods of time.
That's
So
right.
once I even say, once somebody show you they're stupid, believe them. Okay, the first ounce of crazy, stupid, believe it, respect it. Like I even told a guy a couple weeks ago, we went out on a date, and then the very next day he started acting stupid. I was like, you know what? Thank you for acting that way. And he was like, what? I'm confused. I'm like, no, like don't be confused. I'm happy that you you said certain things and showed me certain things in a matter of time, that kept me from wasting my time. So that's always helpful.
Get it,
I
girl.
I also feel like too, it's, how can I put this? It's important to really just watch the type of moves a man makes when it comes to money. Evaluate his lifestyle. What is he doing when he meets you? Because that can tell you a lot. Like if you got a guy who's always talking about he's gonna start something, or he's on the come up, or he has hustles, like watch that. Especially if you're established as a woman already, you already have a career. Watch out for the hustle bandits. Watch out for the I got this business and that business, but you don't see any proof or anything. Also be mindful of men who want to hurry up and get to your house, because that's a sign of a dust mite too. Like somebody who really wants to come see where you live and how you living and how you moving right away. That's a man who more than likely don't have anything to do, or he doesn't have a place up to a certain standard. Because it's been my experience, when a man is proud of where he lives or what he has going on, he can't wait to show you.
Right.
Okay, he likes to show and prove. But a guy who likes to talk, but you don't see none of it, those types are the ones that you want to watch for. If they're trying to test you, like, well, yeah, I would show you this, or tell you about this, but my woman got to do this or do that. That's the guy who's trying to vet you so he can be hypergamous, not the other way around.
Tell
So
it, girl.
be very be very careful and
Church.
watchful of that, ladies.
Church.
Yes. Well, I appreciate you for having me, Deb. I'm gonna hop off of here, and I appreciate all your hard work and what you do. Thank you. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
You made some great comments.
I
And she did. That's why I had to say to give her church props, since she's at the church of Deb testifying. But she's right. That's what I was saying, earlier, how that they want to ask you, where you live at, what kind of work you do, checking out what you drive, or looking at your labels, and trying to get over to your house, get in your car, and all this kind of stuff. They just want to see what you got, because they want to do a quick assessment of, just like she said, what you got that they can use. What do you have that's going to be of value to them in their come up game? Then pump up the volume. I don't even know how to turn the volume up. It sounds loud to me. Let me see if there's a way to do that. Hold on a second. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to do that. We're already in the show. I mean, that's the kind of thing you can do after. I mean, while you're in it. I wonder if this. But see, I don't know if I turn this, is it going to make it louder or quieter? So I'm kind of concerned. Yeah, it says automatically adjust microphone volume. It's supposed to be automatically doing that. So I don't know what to tell y'all. Sorry. Yeah. It's just gonna have to be like this. Just turn up your volume. I think I'm the only one really talking anyway. Let's see. We got Denisha. Denisha has just come up. Let me add her to the conversation. What's happening, lady?
Good evening. How are you?
I'm fine.
I just want to say real quick, don't date men in the military, because there's a lot of dust there.
Oh, really?
There is. People think, oh, he's got TRICARE, he's got benefits. I'm in the Army. And I was engaged about 2 or 3 years ago to this guy, and he was 35. So at the time...
Wait a minute, you sound kind of young. How old are you?
I am currently 27. So
Okay.
I was about 24 at the time. And he was 35 at the time. So I thought naively that, oh, he's older, so he's going to be, squared away, as we say. He's going to be put together. He's going to have morals. He's going to want to settle down quickly. Nope. So I just said, I'm going to wait till I get out of the military. and do what I wanted to do, which was opera. I studied opera in college, and I just took a detour. I said, oh, maybe I'll find someone in the service, and that didn't work. So just do what I want to do now. Don't wait around for them because they don't have their stuff together. And it seems like it's a constant thing. Even the men around my age group, late 20s, you'd think, oh, they're going to want to settle down. Nope. And this was a Korean guy. So I don't date black guys. So
Well, I have some Korean friends, and they say the same thing. Japanese too. That the men are just something's wrong with them.
Yeah, I shared that story in the chat earlier, and you read it about the guy who came off his honeymoon. He was in the military too. So, and that's a white guy. So I was just like, yeah, we're really in trouble. We're screwed.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I don't know, because I think the parents who have sons, that are spending time raising them to be somebody with sense, their sons are going to be at such a pinnacle. They will be able to pick and choose which woman they want. Like, and it's just going to be a real competition for young ladies, for those men at the top of the food chain and those at the bottom.
Yeah. But thank you for letting me share.
No problem. Thank you for calling in. Bye-bye. Yeah, this is going to get interesting, ladies. The conversation started with our show from the other day about the women being so educated and the men falling behind. That's on the title there somewhere. Belle is laughing. Something's wrong with them, but it's true. The guys, they're just not the same. Even something as simple as having chores at home. They grew up just being so coddled. So when they get married, right, or have a girlfriend, they want to move in with somebody, and she expects them to do half of the stuff on the household. They're like, well, either they don't know how, or they feel like that's woman's work because their mama always did it. So you mothers who are not making your sons do chores, you're fucking them up. Okay, you think, oh, my precious baby, but you're making him just a stupid. You're making him useless to not only himself but the world as a whole. Make them boys do some work. I don't care. You be like my parents. Make up some work. They go around the house polishing all them 900 doorknobs we had in that big ass house, and cleaning them little square windows in that Victorian. They would keep you busy for 2 weeks doing stuff like that, and they didn't care. Clean all the baseboards. Take this this mop and wash the walls. My parents would trip. We stayed busy. You never had a time when you wasn't doing something to work. Because he just like, my mother's not going to do it all. The house was huge. It was 10 rooms, 2 floors. And, Victorians have those high 20-something feet ceilings. So, you had to have the extender thing to get up there and dust them and stuff, all that. That house was, my goodness. So, so you have people that have like apartments or small homes. There's no reason why your kids cannot help you keep that house clean. They live there too. You need to be teaching them how to cook, clean, wash dishes, wash clothes, everything. Vacuum, mop, sweep, polish the wood, everything. They need to know how to keep a house up. If you're not teaching your children that, by the time they're 6 years old, you're failing your children. Okay? So anyway, this guy says, this is a Dusty from the Black Manosphere. And he basically says that his question, should men marry women for money? He says the answer is hell no, and these are his reasons why. Okay, this ought to be interesting. I didn't read it, I just printed it out. He says it's the wrong dynamic. Traditional gender roles indicate that men should be the breadwinner. He's supposed to provide for his family. But there's a growing number of these relationships where the women make more than the man. If it's not a wide disparity, it's not really a problem. But if it is, then, it creates an unfortunate dynamic. He says women with substantial financial means rarely realize the dream of every woman that has, the dream of being hypergamous. And the woman may think it's fun to have a boy toy running around, but that's not really what she really yearns for. And she wants a man who can take control of her and her life. Oh, really? It's interesting that you think that's what we want. Then he says you are owned by a woman. These are his reasons why he thinks men should not be hypergamous. You're owned by a woman. Women say they don't want to be owned, but it's only because feminism tells them that's not what they want. No, sir, it's because we're not slaves. We don't want to be treated like chattel. That's what it is. See, he had me till he said this dumb shit right here. He says a woman's true desire is to surrender to a strong masculine man. No, it's not. is to have a partner who is a strong masculine man who walks with us shoulder to shoulder. We don't want to try to surrender to nobody. Surrender indicates weakness and failure. Like in a war, the losing team surrenders to the winning team. That's the dynamic you're trying to tell women that that's what we want. We don't want that shit. That's why we started feminism, to get away from that mentality that y'all stuck down our throats. We don't want to surrender to you. Okay? Ain't nobody trying to submit to no man, except for, and you know, those who believe this, excuse you about to get your feelings hurt, except the dumb bitch. Okay? You don't walk around submit to no motherfucker. What am I going to submit to you for? What makes you so great, grand, and wonderful just because you got a dick? I'm supposed to be submitting to you just because of that? That does not give you no intellectual superpowers. Nothing. It gives you no kind of superpowers. So you don't get submission. Okay? And you want that, then you need to go find somebody in some backwoods country somewhere that still believes in that shit, and you marry her. Okay? But trying to push that down the throat of women in the modern decade here, modern century, nobody's trying to do that. Even women in third world countries aren't trying to do that. They play that game because they know that's what gets them out of poverty. But soon, if you notice, every time soon as they get to the United States, or get to Europe, or get to Canada, they bust out and they want to be just like everybody else. They just played that game with you because you were stupid and you thought that was going to get you're going to have control. I wish I would. You tell submission to. So anyway, he's wrong on all of that. His mind is kind of fucked up. So then he feels like men have no interest in being owned by anyone. We want to be the ones doing the owning, giving directions and running the show, with the exceptions of the latest iPhone clothes and other useless possessions that depreciate in value over time. Women have no interest in owning anything. Notice this kid. I mean, it's like, I don't know what century his brain was created in, but it sounds like it was like a maybe 1612 or something. Women do have interest in owning things. That's why women start businesses. That's why women fought to get their own credit in the 60s at the start of the feminism movement, civil rights era. That's why women wanted all of those things, right? We wanted those because we wanted to own shit in our names, including our children, so that we didn't have to everything be under the name of Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so. We wanted to be able to use our own name. We wanted to be able to get married without even having to take his name if we don't want to. All of these things are things that we wanted to own. So his ideas, I don't know what he's talking about. But then he says a man who marries a rich woman or a woman of means is owned by that woman. This, too, is the wrong dynamic, as a man should never have the desire to be owned by any man or any woman. If a woman owns a man, she has no respect for him, and there's no respect, there's no attraction. That's why I say men are in trouble. Because if women are going to be so powerful and educated in such movers and shakers, and y'all not keeping up, what's going to happen is, in order for you to have a woman, you're going to have to be in a position of being owned by a woman. There will be no other options for you. What y'all going to do? Better figure it out. Figure it out quick. And he says, this is the last one, his final reason why men should want to be hypergamous is if you want a woman to take care of you, you're not a real man. Let's see what his reasons are. Men who whore themselves out to these women aren't real men. A real man has a strong desire to pay his own way, hang his own shingle, and he is in full control of his life. These quasi-male prostitutes are selling their souls for what they think is the luxury of not working. They think it's a great life to have some old bag pay his bills in exchange for sticking his wiener in an older woman who is at least a decade and a half past the wall, he says. But at the end of the day, it's not a sustainable lifestyle for a man, not even close. Okay. He describes himself as a sexist son of a bitch who objectifies women by keeping them on their toes, their backs, and their knees where they belong. That's how he defines himself. So anyway, that's his idiocy about why men should not want to marry a woman for money. I can't say that I agree with all of his statements, but at least that last part's true. The rest of it is complete and utter garbage. Okay. So anyone else have a comment on what you want to talk anything about dealing with a man who you felt was hypergamous? He was after your money. He was after your credit. He was after a place to live on your dime. You know, I told y'all I have a friend who works for the housing authority here in Alameda County, and she is full of stories about how these women, you know, and like I said, hypergamy, there's no one level of hypergamy. Hypergamy is how you come up based on what your starting point is, right? So if you were homeless, dusty bum, couch surfing somewhere, and you get to move into a 2 or 3 bedroom apartment with a woman and her kids that's in the projects, well, that's a come up for you because you didn't even have that. Okay, but now you at least got a place to rest your head and to eat and take a shower and stuff. It's in the projects, but you still have a place now. So for you, that's a come up. You're a guy that's making $50,000-$60,000 a year on your little job, and you know, you meet a woman who's making, I don't know, $200,000. You know, you was living good. I mean, you know, you live in Milwaukee or somewhere, you know, where $60,000 is a good salary. But she's making $250,000 a year. Okay, so you get to move from your little house, your little 2-bedroom cottage that you bought when you was in your late 20s to, you know, this like 6-bedroom things that she got with, you know, fountains and, you know, 4-car garages and maids and cooks and stuff. Okay, that's a huge come up for you. You see what I mean? It's all relative on what your starting point is. So ladies, I think the main thing for you is just going to have to be to figure out if this guy's offering what you need, like the lady with the 30 million and the, you know, her husband who's a professor. He's offering what she needs. So she exchanges that for his, you know, his influence and stuff in the educational and, you know, literary field or whatever his specialty is. Oh, Diana's here. Let's get Diana on. You have to unmute your mic.
Hi there.
There you go. Hey.
Hi. I just wanted to share a story. Some Dusty was trying to buy a car, and then he asked me to co-sign. I said, hell no. I'm not your wife. Then the lady came down. The sales lady came out and was like, can you co-sign for him? I said, he's not my husband. I'm not his wife. I'm not co-signing for anything. Please get away from me.
So
and that
was
that.
Like a sales lady at the car place?
Mm-hmm. I was just like, I'm not doing that. Because if you don't pay for it and all that other stuff, it's going to be on my credit.
Exactly.
Never co-sign for anything. Exactly. No. We're not doing that. In your famous words. Yeah, no. Mm-mm.
Yeah, no.
Mm-mm.
Nah.
No. And then somebody else was trying to hint that they want to buy a house and they don't have the credit and the income. I'm like, don't come asking me what I look like. I'm not your personal ATM or bank. I'm not co-signing for no houses. I'm not going in on no house with nobody. I'm not even doing quick claims. I'm not doing none of that. Because if you want to get a house, you need to do what you need to do to get it. You're not using my resources to do that.
Yeah, no.
No, Negro, no. It's just so much begging and dry begging with Dusties that it really doesn't make any sense. Because if you're asking women to do all these things, you have no business dating and you're trash. It's disgusting and it's sad. It's just like, what? And then they want to act like they're the most desired guys on the planet. Like, how are you the most desired when you have no financial resources of any kind?
Yeah, I mean,
and you're at the bottom of society financially. It's like the sense of entitlement is just overwhelming. It's like they really think that all Black women, because they're doing better than them and because they're Black, like automatically owe them something collectively as a group of women.
Right.
Like, we don't owe you anything. I didn't give birth to you. So
tell it, girl.
That was my story.
Okay. He had gall. I had to put it to music. He had gall.
Okay. And the audacity.
Yes, all that, girl.
Yeah, the nerve. I was like, you better go sell some of the Michael Jordan tennis shoes on eBay if you want you a car.
Girl, okay, don't they have a lot of pairs of that they could sell them?
Okay,
right.
Like, and I don't understand why they don't just go invest in the stock. Y'all buy so many of the shoes, you could have bought like 5 or 6 stocks off them 10 pairs you got in your closet.
They don't think like that, girl.
They sure don't. But thank you for having me, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Let me take a swig of my water. Okay. Anybody else got any? Damn, George. Anyone else got a comment? Otherwise, we'll start winding down. Yeah, I think this, this is good. I just wanted to put this out there because so many women, you guys are doing so many big things. Those of you with daughters, you pushing your daughters to college and you pushing your daughters to be independent and have their own and buy their property and stuff. No longer are we telling our girls, don't do things and don't go places and don't buy property and stuff waiting for a man. That used to be the old drag and drama that they would get. You don't want to do that because then, you already have everything and you won't need a man. Whereas now parents, including, well, actually, I used to hear it from my dad. I never heard it from my mother, are the ones pushing their daughters towards, doing these things and establishing themselves well before they start looking for a husband. Because my dad was always like, you don't want to have to depend on a man. You want to have your own shit. So that, if he comes and he adds more to it, that's great. But if he then takes it away, you still good. This is from my dad, okay? Because a lot of these guys online will say, well, this feminism and these mothers teaching their daughters. My mother never said a word to me about any of that. It was my daddy who was the one telling me don't depend on an N for shit, okay? I must have heard that 55 million times from that man's lips. So everything that I do and everything that I did in the past, while I was still in my parents, was on that path to push me to be independent and to get my own stuff, accomplish what I needed, and to not depend on a man at all for it. The only one I could depend on, according to him, was him or my brothers, and then later, of course, my husband. That was it. You don't depend on nobody else to help you do anything. And so, I think that's the kind of way that a lot of young black girls, are being raised these days. Not to depend on men, because as you look around in the black community, what is there that you can depend on? Okay, they can't even depend on themselves half the time. So how are you going to be submitting and looking at them to, guide and lead you and all the stuff y'all be talking? So it's a very interesting dynamic. I don't see it getting any better as women keep advancing more and more educationally, professionally, and acquire more and more in the way of economic success. Women are just going to be leaving these guys behind. So these are the kind of conversations we're going to be having, as we move forward to see what kind of things we can come up with. But I think a lot of it is going to have, if we want a better future for our daughters, we're going to have to get the women who have sons to understand their responsibility to the society as a whole. You cannot just turn your sons loose. You got to stay on them and ride them like a fucking horse to get them to be somebody that everybody in the black community and the world at large can be proud of and respect. Men, these young boys, I don't know what's going on and why they are so out of control and lost. But part of it is going to depend on women still of childbearing years to have that's why I teach how to vet men, because the greatest decision that you will make in your life is to choose the right man, to marry, to date, to have children with, to marry, just, to live your life with. You've got to take the time to make sure he's on the same page as you and that y'all can work together and make shit happen. If you have a guy who in any way, shape, or form is not on your level, and I'm not talking about just money, I'm talking about on your level mentally, spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, then that's probably somebody that you should, just let go. He got anger issues. Next. He doesn't really have any goals. Next. He's confused. He got mental health issues, or he's got some kind of dependency issues. He's weird. Next. You don't try to reform them. You're not a nurse. You're not a doctor. You're not a shrink. You let them go. You next him, and you get someone who is whole and together. And if you want to have a kid, that's who you have a child by. Someone who's going to be responsible and be there for your children. Okay, you might not even have to be, might not be married anymore or whatever, but that should be, finding someone who has the right mindset, that wants to be an active father and influence in their children's lives. That's the only kind of man that you should have a kid with. Okay, we have to start, kind of reframing this. And when a lot of women, like, well, I'm pregnant, so I'm going to have a baby. Well, that might not be the smartest decision to make. What you're going to do, how's that going to impact the child? Think about these kind of things. Keep your birth control tight until you are really ready to invest yourself first and then invest yourself in vetting a man that can be your match, and then be together. Y'all can be wonderful parents to any children that you bring into this world. It's like your biggest responsibility is parenting if you're gonna have kids. Otherwise, don't have none, and I ain't mad at you because it's a lot of work. So let's see what we got coming up. What's today? Sunday. Okay, Monday I'm gonna be on a Clubhouse with my friend Almaz, talking about my book, The Black Church. If you follow her, it should be up there, but I forgot to go get the link. Sorry. She wanted to talk about my book, The Black Church, where women pray, P-R-A-Y, and men pray, P-R-E-Y. I wrote that book, I think, about 2011 or so, but it still sells really well. And, a lot of people are just shocked I wrote it so long ago. But so many of the issues that I addressed and presented as happening in the Black church and impacting Black women are still happening. So a lot of women have woken up and, left the Black church, but there's still others that still need to, they still drinking the Kool-Aid. So we're going to talk about that. And then on Thursday, we're going to be back here for this show. We're going to be here. And we're going to be talking about how these dusties can get you in trouble where you live. Like I said, you can use your, if you're, a low-income lady, you can lose your Section 8 voucher messing around with some dusty boyfriend. Other women who may not even be low income can, be evicted from other rental properties or then be denied housing. It's a real issue that we need to talk about. What the plan is here, what we gonna do. So I'm gonna appreciate, I want everybody to know I appreciate you guys stopping in, coming through, sharing your thoughts, or people who called in and share their thoughts and opinions. I really appreciate that too. I hope that this video provides some insight into what to watch out for and how to protect yourself financially and emotionally from dust buckets, because they out here strong and doing everything they can to come up and use you to benefit themselves. So you need to be smart about who you choose and who you let into your life. This is Deb Cooper, survivingdating.com. I'll see you guys on Tuesday night for What the Fuck Tuesday, and then again on Thursday for the housing show. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.